Hey everybody, how's it going today? Memorial Day weekend. Monday, so we're not working today, taking some time off, and I got bored at home, so I'm out field scouting. And I've had a lot of people ask what we thought of the high-speed planter, what we thought of, more importantly, Furrow Force. Very, very expensive closing system. It's kind of a hit or miss, hard to tell in spots if it helped or not. I'm just out here. I'm going to show you a little bit of side-by-sides. I did find some spots where it's a noticeable difference on help. If it ever will pay for itself, it's hard to know. I know some guys were doing half their planter, so 12 rows on a 24 row, so you'd know side by side. Maybe should have done it, but with corn prices the way they are, we just want to do 4 rows and visually do some counts, like stand counts, see if it's visually noticeable. And let me tell you, in spots, visibly out of the ground a lot sooner and a lot more consistently coming out of the ground. I'm just out here trying to see if I can find a good spot where the camera would pick up a noticeable difference. I mean, to my eyes, I can see that they're coming out a lot more evenly in certain areas. We have found areas where the Furrow Force, like where you should not be planting, number one, as in way too wet. It seems to have maybe pinched the ground too hard together. The plant can't poke up from when it grows up with the kernel. It doesn't know where to go. But like I said, that's in conditions where the V is open on the standard deer closing system, and where the precision, it's closing, it's doing what it's designed to do, but the dirt just gets so hard then that the corn can't pop up. So I'm just out here looking for, in a fair test area where it's should have been dry, should have been good conditions, looking for side-by-side differences. So this was one of the last fields planted here, or actually I think was the last field planted. And so the corn is just coming up. This is how big it is. Pretty small yet. So let's find a spot here. So right here, as you can see, this is a Furrow Force. You can tell by how wide it packs down behind the row unit. Nice wide. So we had 4 of these on the planter, 2 right behind the tractor, 1 out on the wing, which is right here. You can see also very nice wide one, and then 1 out on the outside wing, which would be right here. So let's see if I can find a good side-by-side comparison here. You can see they're really consistent as far as size right here. There's a little bit of a smaller one. Here's a skip, but if we dig down, it's really hard. Okay, here we go. I found the kernel. He was here. He is here. There it is. See it? So that's one thing I will say. This was the first year with them out of beta testing, and no one really knew how hard to pack the trench. I mean, you set that all from the inside of the cab. It's all due to pressure, air pressure, how hard to put down. We were maybe running it a little strong. I think their normal range is to run at 35 pounds. We were going at 45 because we just, I don't know, didn't know. A little harder, should be better, right? I don't know. I think we overpacked it. So next year I think we're going to be running 35, see what we think of that. But like I said, in certain areas I think we are overpacking where it was too wet, and the kernels or the little plant, like this one here, he definitely grew, but I don't think he could get through the hard pack. But as far as the side-by-side here, as you can see, very consistent level of how they're coming out. Here is where there is no Furrow Force. This is just the standard deer closing system. Small one, small one, small one, medium one, good one. That matches where the Furrow Force was. Little smaller, smaller, pretty consistent. Another small one, good one, little small, good one, good one, good one, good one. here's one in the furrow forest that's just starting to come through. And like I said, you ain't gonna have everyone come through at the same time. But I just see a lot more consistent. There's a small one just coming through. But this is the furrow forest line, and they're all reasonably, for the most part, the same size. There's a little small one, but you can't expect everyone to grow perfect. But I just see they're coming through a lot more consistent. Here's where Dad turned around, so the furrow forest, this is the guest row. But just what I'm seeing here, there's no furrow forest, and they're just really inconsistently coming up. Where you get into a furrow forest trench, here's the furrow forest one. Can you see across here? Nice one, small one, nice one, medium one, nice one, another smallish one. There's a little bit medium sized. It just seems like they're a lot more consistent, and all of the high yield guys say you gotta have your corn come up within, I think it's 24 hours of each other. You ideally want that to come up, is what I've heard, or 36 hours, because it's just like a weed. If the weed gets bigger than their corn plant or soybeans, it is now in competition with each other. This corn plant here has now become, I'm not going to say a weed, but he's stronger. He's ahead of this one. So this one is going to get bigger than this one. And if you get a big enough variance there, that smaller one might not even put an ear on, or it'll be a lot smaller of an ear. I'm not going to tell you to go buy furrow forest. I don't know what we're going to do. We know it's very expensive, but we have seen some positive areas here where definitely is a noticeable difference in spots. Will that noticeable difference pay for the $1,700 a row closing system? That's the question. Like I said, I think row cleaners would really help with getting some of the trash out. It really isn't too bad here, but I think that would be another bonus to get into some decent dirt. I know this year we had to two-pass pretty much every cornfield. So bean stubble last year, here's the bean residue from last year. They had to dig it twice. We're blaming it on, number one, we didn't go deep enough in tillage last fall to get enough dirt on it. Number two, it was such a late fall, none of this stuff really broke down over the winter, or late fall I should say. It pretty much was freezing right after we were harvesting and covering this up. So number one, we didn't get enough cover. Number two, it didn't break down like it should. So when the diggers or field cultivators hit the fields, this stuff just bunched up in the drags and made what we call rat mounds. Muskrat mounds is, if you're familiar with them, that's what we call it, rat mounding. If you hear us say that, that's what we're referring to. So it just got little bunches all over. Well, every time your row unit goes up and over one of those, probably is not the nicest ride, and the seed is getting dropped in the trash. It's not going to grow in a bunch of loose, fluffy trash. It's got to have seed to soil contact. So we two-passed every field, meaning we dug it, it got all rat mounded. They took the diggers out of the ground, so they were just like an inch deep, inch and a half deep, just trying to knock down the rat mounds, dragging them out, struling them out. So they pretty much two-passed it. Our theory behind that, every time you dig or work a field in the spring, you're taking out about a half inch of moisture. So if you take a half inch of moisture out of your ground times two, you've just took an inch of moisture out of the ground. Then what happened to us was the seed got planted into dry dirt. Very bad thing. Kernels start coming up inconsistently. Especially after the last couple of years, it's extremely rare for us not to get rain. I mean, after last year, 2019, it rained at least once a week, and not like little shots, big shots. So we're like, well, it'll be fine. We won't plant it any deeper than really normal to get in the moisture because it's going to rain. Well, here we are. I don't know how many days it's supposed to rain all weekend. This weekend we haven't gotten a drop. I wouldn't even doubt we still have some soybeans laying in dry dirt, because there you only are planting about inch to inch and a half deep roughly, and that top soil is dry. Look at this dust. You get down there, yeah, there's some moisture, but you get into the bean fields where you're planting literally into that top inch. I'm pretty sure we still have soybeans laying in dry dirt for now close to a month, I would say. which ain't going to be good because then you're going to have inconsistent emergence and competition, and harvestability will become an issue for it not maturing at the same time, the whole 9 yards. So send some rain. We don't want too much, but take a good ½ inch to an inch. I'd take an inch. We can definitely handle an inch, but otherwise we got corn coming out of the ground. I'm happy with it. Definitely is really, for planting at 10 miles an hour, very, very, very consistent spacing. I am very impressed with that. This is a headland, a lot of tracks on it, but very impressed with the spacing and singulation. That's just a little update. I know I had some guys asking about that and wondering about Furrow Force, what our thoughts are on it. So far, I have no bad things to say about it, other than where you shouldn't be planting to begin with. It may be overpacked it, but that could have been a partial operator or us not knowing, lack of knowledge behind the product, which is just what it is when it's a new product. But I think next year we're going to lighten that up, that Furrow Force pressure up, and we'll see what grain prices do, yield does. If we decide to put more on, I don't think it's going to hurt you. It's definitely more consistent emergence. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this didn't bore you. Please send rain. Catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching this video. We appreciate it. From all of us at Larson Farms.